Hello, Danielle here. So I know it's January and so there's not much sunshine anywhere, but I thought today I would speak about vitamin D because it is crazily important for our health, both in summer but especially in winter. I hope this is not too dry and too boring, and I hope I'm going to tell you something that you don't know already. So, winter is definitely more fun when you're not down with a cold or a flu all the time. And nowadays, a lot of people seem to be coughing and coughing and coughing and coughing and not getting over things for weeks. So obviously vitamin D isn't the only panacea for being sick in winter. You need lots of antioxidants and lots of rest and plenty of minerals. But lots of peer-reviewed scientific studies tell us that if you have good levels of vitamin D, and a good level is believed to be about 50 nanograms per milliliter. That's 50 ng per milliliter. So if you ever go and have a blood test, that's the level you want to aim for. So if you have that, you can dramatically shorten colds and flus and possibly not even get them, so avoid getting them entirely. You can prevent many chronic diseases. In fact, there are thousands of peer-reviewed scientific studies, I believe, that say adequate levels of vitamin D can reduce your risk of dying from any disease prematurely by 50%. So they cut your risk of dying from anything but old age in half, or a car accident. And also, vitamin D is believed to be able to prevent, and some doctors even say resolve, over 70% of all cancers and up to 90% of all breast cancers, which is really relevant for all of us. So high levels of vitamin D really protect you from breast cancer. So unfortunately in the UK, doctors estimate that about 50% of the adult population is deficient in vitamin D and up to 70% of children. So that's not good, because we want to protect our loved babies from being sick. Nevertheless, partly due to pollution, mainly due to the crazily increasing use of chemical sunscreen at all times of the year, and I guess also to people's growing fear of being in the sun, which I think is due to media propaganda and a huge amount of misinformation, people's levels of vitamin D, at least in the UK, have been keep dropping every year. And so the lower your levels, the more statistically you are at risk of all sorts of illnesses and disease and cancer. The great news, of course, is you just need to buy a vitamin D supplement. Ideally make it one that is in a nano emulsion, so it's mixed with oil, because vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin, and it's far more easy for your body to absorb it if it's already in fat. And during winter, take a few drops every day. What is interesting though, I find, and I hope this isn't too dry, and if it is too dry, let me know about it and I won't do it again, or I'll try not to. So what is interesting is that, again, in line with the increasing use of sunscreen, of chemical UVB blocking sunscreen, in line with the increase of the use, vitamin D deficiency has gone up, and melanoma, the incidence of that dangerous skin cancer that can occasionally be fatal, has also gone up. So if sunscreen were protecting us from melanoma, wouldn't you think that the more sunscreen we use, the less people get melanoma? And it's the opposite. There's a direct correlation, increasing trend in the incidence of melanoma and in the use of chemical UVB blocking sunscreen. And of course the name says it, because sunscreen that blocks UVB doesn't allow your body to synthesize vitamin D in the sun, because it's UVB when it hits our skin that actually causes the cholesterol in our skin to produce vitamin D. So sun blocking, or UVA and UVB blocking sunscreen, is something you need to look at more carefully. We do want to block UVA. So UVA is about 70 or over 70 or 80% of all the sun's rays that come through from above are UVA. And UVA actually penetrates more deeply into our skin and has been linked to the more benign skin cancers, which are things like squamous cell carcinoma. Things usually stay in the skin. They don't metastasize and go elsewhere, usually. And most people just have them cut out and then they're completely fine again. Melanoma is one that unfortunately does go other places and it can be really dangerous. But it's linked not to suntan, it's linked to vitamin D deficiency. So there's a global direct correlation between low levels of vitamin D and high incidence of melanoma. So if the sunshine, which gives us vitamin D, caused melanoma, then that couldn't happen. So something somewhere has been misunderstood. It's the brown pigment melanin in our skin that protects us from burning in the sun. And it's UVB that allows us to produce the melanin. And when we're producing melanin, we're also producing vitamin D. But here's another fun fact. How long do you think it takes for the vitamin D you produce on your skin to actually be absorbed into the body, into the bloodstream, then go to the liver, be activated into the active form of vitamin D, and be useful for your body? It takes 48 hours. So what that means is that if you have a lovely day in the sun, and then after being on a salty, sandy beach in Thailand somewhere, I'm jealous, after that, if you have a shower and wash your body with soap, the soap will sadly wash off all the vitamin D that's on the surface of your skin, and you're depriving yourself, let's say. You're unlikely to get a great vitamin D benefit from that day. Whereas if you just have a shower with water, but nothing that breaks down fat, and you just maybe use soap under the arms and down there, then you leave the vitamin D that's in formation on your skin, and 48 hours later, your vitamin D levels go up, which is exactly what we want. So sun is not a good thing in combination with soapy showers within 48 hours. And you can also, if you're scared of burning, which, well, none of us want to burn, and you shouldn't burn, you can just do some really sensible basic things, like taking astaxanthin as a supplement, making sure your skin is very hydrated at all times with things like coconut oil. I love raspberry seed oil. I love carrot seed oil that have really good natural sun blocks. Big hats, long clothing, and above all, do go in the sun, but build up your tan very, very gradually. And one other fact that I found fascinating is people who live in countries like Austria and Germany and Switzerland, where they go skiing a lot in the winter, so they have that really bright sunshine that reflects off the snow, and they also tend to do quite a lot of mountain walking in summer. I'm from Austria, so I know that, and it's wonderful, have a very, very low level of melanoma. And they also get about 4 times, so 400% more sun exposure every year than the Brits, the Canadians, the Scots, and northern climes without the mountains and without the tradition of spending time in the bright sunshine. And the highest incidence of melanoma is in those countries, like England, like Scotland, like Canada, where they have very little sunshine. So there's a direct correlation between low levels of sunshine and low levels of vitamin D. Right, I think this probably is enough information for you right now. All I really want to say is that having adequate levels of vitamin D dramatically reduces your risk of all types of diseases and of the well-known things like cancer, diabetes, autoimmune disease, and of course all winter flus and colds. So buy yourself some vitamin D, the fat-soluble stuff, the stuff that comes in squeezy bottles, and if you can, get some winter sun. Above all, do not get into the habit of slathering on chemical sunscreen, because when in the sun, those chemicals within, I guess, an hour tend to absorb from the surface of the skin into the skin. They absorb into the blood, and then they get carried, they get broken down, and those chemicals in sunscreen have been linked to melanoma. So careful use of sunshine is a great idea. Lots of vitamin D in winter is a brilliant idea, but try not to block out the sun, because that actually is really bad for our health. So I hope some of this was useful. Lovely to speak to you, and see you soon. Bye.